Most people assume they see reality. You wake up, go through your day, think your thoughts, worry about your problems, and rarely stop questioning the basic structure of the world around you. But according to Buddhism, human beings are fundamentally confused about reality itself. We see things as permanent, even though everything changes. We think of ourselves as fixed identities, even though we are constantly transforming. And we imagine ourselves as independent individuals, even though our entire existence depends on countless other people, causes, and conditions. The Buddha believed this misunderstanding is not just a small intellectual mistake, it is the root cause of suffering itself. Anxiety, attachment, frustration, fear, and dissatisfaction all emerge because we constantly resist the way reality actually works. In this presentation, we will explore three central Buddhist ideas: impermanence, selflessness, and interdependence. These concepts may sound abstract at first, but together they form an interesting framework on how to understand reality. Three big ideas animate Buddhism: impermanence, selflessness, and interdependence. These ideas are closely related, but I will explain them one by one. The first idea is impermanence. Everything you experience is constantly changing, including you. This change happens on two levels. The first is gross impermanence, the obvious change you can actually notice. You were once a child, then a teenager, and now an adult who figured it all out. One day, your body grows old, your back starts to hurt, and eventually you will die. Nothing stays the same forever. But beneath this visible change lies subtle impermanence. This is what makes gross impermanence possible. At every single moment, your body is changing in ways you cannot directly see. Cells die and renew themselves. Thoughts appear and vanish. Emotions shift constantly. Even while listening to this presentation, several tiny versions of you have already come and gone. This leads to the conclusion that neither you nor the world around you are fixed. We are not like statues on a conveyor belt moving through time. We are like processes, a flowing stream of causes and conditions. Moment by moment, everything is changing, whether you notice it or not. The second idea is selflessness. Because everything is constantly changing, there is no fixed identity that remains the same over time. We are not statues, but processes. But this is difficult to see, partially because language tricks you. You give names and labels to things: tree, car, person, me, and once something has a label, it starts to feel permanent and solid, as if the universe has neatly labeled everything. Ah, yes, this is Steve. Steve has always been Steve and will continue to be Steve indefinitely. But Buddhism says this stability is an illusion created by the mind. Beneath the labels, reality is fluid, shifting, and impossible to fully pin down. The you of 5 minutes ago is not the same you as sitting here now. Hopefully, you're wiser, possibly more tired, but not the same. The third idea is interdependence, the idea that nothing exists completely on its own. Everything you experience arises through relationships, causes, and conditions. Nothing is isolated. Nothing stands independently. Take a flower, for example. For it to exist, it depends on soil, water, sunlight, air, and time. Remove just one of these conditions, and the flower can't exist. In the Buddhist view, this is true not only for flowers, but for everything, including you. Your existence depends on food, oxygen, society, your parents, farmers, gravity, and so on. Interdependence can also be understood through the relationship between parts and wholes. Imagine a car. Remove the engine, the wheels, or the steering wheel, and at some point, nobody will call it a car anymore. But the individual parts also lose their meaning when separated from the whole. A steering wheel sitting alone in a field is no longer really functioning as a steering wheel. It's just a circle that has a difficult time. There is also a third way Buddhism explains interdependence, and this is through conceptual imputation. Fancy term, simple idea. Many of the things you see in the world only appear solid and separated because your mind gives them names. Labels like tree, house, or person exist mainly in thought, not as perfectly fixed objects itself. Reality is like a giant web of interconnected processes, but your mind cuts it up into manageable pieces so you can survive everyday life. This is very useful, but the Buddha reminds us that labels are merely conventions. They are not reality itself. So, after all of this, we arrive at the central insight of Buddhism. The universe is governed by impermanence, selflessness, and interdependence. Everything changes. Nothing possesses a fixed identity, and nothing exists completely on its own. The problem is that human beings tend to see the world in the exact opposite way. We treat things as permanent, even though they constantly change. We think of ourselves as fixed identities, even though we are more like ongoing processes, and we imagine ourselves as isolated individuals, even though our entire existence depends on countless other people, conditions, and circumstances. According to the Buddha, this misunderstanding is the root cause of suffering and the source of many of our problems. We want certainty in an uncertain world, permanence in an impermanent universe. We want life to stand still long enough to feel secure, while life itself keep moving like an unstoppable train. The Buddhist solution is surprisingly simple, though not necessarily easy. Learn to accept reality as it truly is. The more clearly we understand reality, the less trapped we become by confusion and suffering. When we stop arguing with the nature of existence itself, life becomes lighter. This means learning to understand change instead of constantly resisting it. It means loosening our attachment to rigid identities and recognize how deeply connected we are to everything around us. According to Buddhism, peace begins when we stop demanding that reality behaves differently from what it is.